check it out. And once a month, we like to celebrate the arts, in a sense, and we have invited different that he has done. And if any of you would like to share what you do, whether it's musical or artistic, we would love to be able to celebrate with you as well. You can talk to myself or Persida on that. Today is a big day for our youth. We have a Halloween party that is from 2 to 3:30. The youth group puts this on, and we invite all the children of the congregation to come, and it is lots of fun, so please plan to attend, and it's open to anyone and everyone that would like to come. Also, once a year, we do a fire drill in our church school. And this is really important that our church school teachers know where to go and that the parents know where they go. So our classes are going to do kind of a mock drill. We're not going to have the fire alarm go off, but they will ring a bell. And they will go out, 5th grade and below, will all go out and meet on the front lawn or the front sidewalk. And 6th grade and above will go out kind of the back doors and meet on the back road behind the church or in the cemetery. As parents, we ask that you go outside to find the spot where your children are and not go running through the building if there was ever an emergency. Also, you know, for the sanctuary, these doors here on the front both go out. They have a staircase that goes out, so then you would go out the end. So if there's ever an emergency, we ask you to follow the directions as far as going outside, finding your children in the appropriate places. The children will practice this, and I trust that if it ever have the Rolston String Quartet at 4 o'clock, it should be a wonderful, wonderful concert. So I invite you to come.
Please join me in the call to worship. Gracious God, we come to worship today and ask you to,
so we may generously give without counting the cost.
So we may share in love without expecting something.
So we may learn the difference between that
today and always. Please join me in the prayer of invocation. Teaching and guiding God, hear our prayer, for we want to be better students of your will and ways. Expand our capacity for love, that it may become more durable and inclusive. Stretch our imaginations to envision bold possibilities for placing trust in you. Educate our spirits to see done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
come and pick them up for you.
Good morning, boys. Eat pizza. I love to eat ice cream. Do you love to eat ice cream? Yeah. And pretty soon you're going to love to eat candy, right? Yeah. What other things do you love? You love pizza too? Yeah? What do you love? You love Victoria, your friend. We love our friends, right? We love our friends. We love our family. Sometimes we love to watch TV. Sometimes we love video games, right? Yeah. Here in the congregation, they would tell you something different that they love. Maybe they love their sports car, or maybe they love their clothing. But Jesus tells us, oh, okay, all right, I see the connection, okay. What did Jesus say we should love the most? Freedom, that's a really good answer. I like that. And peace. Let's kiss our brains. Let's think what for. He tells us to love the Lord our God with all our heart and all our mind and all our soul. Why do you think he tells us to love the Lord our God? Us with all his heart and mind and soul. Okay? So we really shouldn't love all that other stuff. We shouldn't love material. You have a good heart and you do good things. Got it? All right. Super. All right, let's bow our heads in prayer before we go to Sunday school. Dear God, with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our might. Amen. Thank you, boys and girls.
Today's epistle reading comes from the 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 through 8. You yourselves know, brothers and sisters, that our coming to you was not in vain. But though we had already suffered and been shamefully maltreated at Philippi, as you know, we had courage in our God to declare to you the gospel of God, in spite, not to please mortals, but to please God who tests our hearts. As you know, and as God is as apostles of Christ. But we were gentle among you, like a nurse tenderly caring for her own children. So deeply do we care for you, that we are determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you have become very dear to us. The gospel reading comes from the 22nd chapter of Matthew, verses 34 through 46. When the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Now while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them this question: "What do you think of the Messiah? Whose son is he?" They said to him, "The son of David." He said to them, "How is it then that David by the Spirit calls him Lord, saying, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet'? If David thus calls him Lord, how can he be his son?" No one was able to give him an answer, nor from that day did anyone dare to ask him any more questions.
The religious leaders were trying to trap Jesus over and over and over again. They had a hard time believing the good news that Jesus was all about. Jesus introduced to them a way of life that was threatening to them. They didn't understand it, and therefore they didn't like it. And so they came at Jesus over and over again to test him. And in this particular time, a Pharisee came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" And Jesus responded by saying, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and prophets." Jesus was able to describe in just a couple sentences what this faith journey of ours is: the good news of the power of love. Now, I love these verses in Matthew, and they also appear in a couple of the other Gospels. This commandment frames my vision of ministry as I am continually challenged to know how to love my God, my neighbor, and myself more fully. The church, we spend a lot of time on a lot of things. We have programs and Halloween parties, we have theological discussions, we have bake sales and host music concerts. We put on meals in Hartford and in New Britain. And through it all, it's important to remember what is at our core, that we cannot forget that love is central to the Christian faith. We are called to love. We are encouraged to love. We are encouraged to encourage others to love. We are to build people, community in. It's like if you're going to jump off a high dive into a swimming pool. You know, you don't jump off and just try to, "Oh, I'm not sure if I really want to do this or not," and we just try to hang on with one arm. It doesn't work that way. You know, we have to have our whole being has to be ready and willing to love God. Now, our tradition does not practice praising God as much as some traditions might be praising God. And in some ways, I kind of miss this. When I was in high school, we used to sing this song and we would sing it quite often. It In my life, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. It goes on. That was as much as I can dare do.